This week's parasha is called Mishpatim. Mishpatim. That's judgments. Judgments. Torah means instructions. Commandments is mitzvot. Mishpatim is judgments. The entire instructions of God, the entire Torah, have judgments, have commandments, have instructions in what to do, how to do this, how to do that, what's the right way, what's the regulation towards it. All of this is in the Torah. Then you have judgments. The judgments deal with circumstances. Most of the time, the judgments start with if. It's circumstantial. If this is done, this is the judgment for it. If that is done, this is what you do. If this is said, this is what you do. If the circumstance occurs, this is what you do. You ready to know God's verdict? We're going before the judge. Judgment is what the judge verdict is. These Mishpatim, were they Moses' judgment? Were they Israel, the 70 judgment? Was it their verdict? No. This was the verdict of God. Elohim. This is the judgment coming from the great and mighty judge in heaven. Elohim is giving to mankind his judgment for circumstances. That's very important. Some people ask, do I have to do this to be saved? Do I have to do that to be saved? And that's the question. Is this necessary for salvation? A lot of times the Gentiles ask that question. Is this necessary for salvation? If it was necessary, would God give it to you? Was not necessary, would God tell you? Why would God harass you? Why would God harass you and tell you to do something and it's not necessary? God is a God of wasting time. A lot of time you're going to hear, do I have to do that to be saved? Is this necessary for salvation? That's how the Gentiles think. The Gentiles think about the easiest way to get to heaven or get to the kingdom. How can I get there without doing all these things? How can I get there? Is there another way to get there? That's the question. And that's the way to think. The microwave way of life. The quick way. The easy way. The press button. But what did Yeshua said? He said, strive to enter into the narrow gate. For many would seek to enter in and will not be able to. For broad is the gate and wide is the gateway that lead to destruction, and many go in that way. But because straight is the gate and narrow is the way that leads to life, few there be that find it. We want the broad way. The Gentiles want the broad way. They don't want the straight and narrow way. What's the broad way that I can make it in the broad way? So we're going to Broadway. The Broadway show in New York. Let's go to Broadway.
I just thought about it.
That's the broad way. The easy way. The popular way. The way that I don't have to make no sacrifice. So this is the way the Gentiles think. But the Israelites don't think that way. It's a little different. The Jews think differently. And that's amazing to me. The Jews have a different take to it. They said, even though they don't know what the commandments is, but they say, all that you say we will do. Everything you say, Lord, we will do. We don't know what you say yet, but we know who you are. We know that you are the true God. But everything you say, we will do. But when push come to shove, they didn't do it. When push come to shove, they couldn't do it. But they were willing. They said, all that you said, we will do. if it was the Gentile would say, Lord, I have to do that? Really? I have to really do that? You sure? Oh God, Elohim, are you sure I have to do that? We will ask God a million questions before we say we're going to do it. Isn't that so, brethren? I have conversation with Christians and they always tell me that, even in the church of God. Do I have to do that to be saved? Is that necessary for salvation? And if we say it's not necessary for salvation, well, I'm not doing it. They will not do it if it brings joy to God. They will only do it if it's for salvation. Even though it brings joy to God, even though it pleases God, they wouldn't do it because they're only going to do what is good for salvation, what is necessary for salvation. But Isaiah 56 said, blessed is the man that do this. Do you want a blessing?
Amen.
Do you want the blessings in Deuteronomy 28, Leviticus 26? Do you want the blessing? So that's why when you look at the Jew and the Gentile, the Jew is blessed, the Gentile not. Because the Jew said, I will do. The Jews have the blessing. Is it necessary? But he said, blessed is the man that do this and the son of man that take hold of Isaiah 56. That keep the Shabbat. If you keep the Sabbath, you have a blessing. Every commandment in the Torah comes with a blessing. And whichever one you do, you get the blessing of it. If you keep Shabbat, you will get the blessing of Shabbat. If you keep the other mitzvah, if you keep the feast, you will get the blessing of the feast. Whatever feast you keep, you get the blessing. And if you do the blessing, if you if you tithe, even though the people are not in the truth, even though they're not in the Torah, but they keep one commandment in the Torah, they get the blessing of that commandment. The offering and the tithes, if you tithe, they get the blessing of the tithes and offering. Because they're practicing one mitzvah. Every mitzvah, every command in the Torah have its own blessing. So the Jew said, all you say, Lord, we will do. The Gentiles saying, Lord, we have to do this. We have to do that. The Mishpatim, judgments, Exodus 21, 1 to Exodus 24, 18. And basically, this was the laws of the covenant that God is entering with Israel. God was writing the laws in the ketubah, the marriage license. God, this chapter 21, Exodus 20 actually, Exodus 20 to 24 is the ketubah, is the marriage agreement, the marriage covenant that God have with Israel. And they consummate the marriage in chapter 24 in the end with a meal. God spoke first to all Israel, from the smallest to the greatest. Then God pulled the 70 with Aaron and his two oldest sons, and with the elders, the 70, and he ate a meal with them, and God spoke, and they saw the glory of God. But he said, these men, the 70, Aaron and his sons, Nadab and Abihu, these men have to worship from afar. We're going to go into that later. They have to worship from afar, but only Moses can come into the cloud. They have to worship from far. All right. Interesting. Jeremiah 34 is the Haftarah, which is the prophets, and the new covenant is in Matthew 5. 38 to 42, Matthew 17, 1 to 11. All right, I'm looking at what time it is there to see how much time we have. Because, I always have a lot of food. I could cut it out, I could give. We don't have to give everything. I want to just show you what I was saying earlier before I go down into the laws. I'll do it later. I will go straight down. I'll do it later. But don't forget what I tell you about the Gentiles. how they approach God and how the Jew approach God. Important point. And you're going to learn something in this parasha in the end about that. I have to make sure I remember to tell you that. But we're going to go down into the parasha. I want to read some of these laws because we need to know these laws. I don't just want to take a portion, take one, take two. We're going to read some of these laws. So are you ready to read, brethren?
Yes.
Are we going to explain them? If you have a question, we're going to explain this because this is the agreement. This is the laws how Israel must live. And the entire Torah is built from these laws. The entire Torah, all the other instructions was built from these instructions. God then wrote you have the terms and agreement, right? When you go into, you receive something, somebody's giving you something, even though they're giving it for you free. They're giving it to you free, but it's theirs. It's mine. And I'm going to give you something. But there are some terms and there is some agreement that you must agree to. The terms may not be a monetary term. I may not charge you for it, but I will have some restrictions. I may have some instructions that I'm going to give you to sign. To sign. To give you this for free. Yes, sister.
I recall one time we were doing this particular parasha that you had explained, and it helped me a lot, a great deal, and just so that the others would be aware of it as well. The mentality that we have as far as understanding what slavery is or was in those times, we have to kind of like transform our mind to what it was back then and how God or Yeshua himself sees slavery. So if you could just go over that a little bit.
Yeah, I will. That's part of the plan.
Down the line.
That's part of it's right in the beginning. So yeah, I will deal with it coming up right now.
Okay.
Because that's part of the plan. All right, so we will explain that. So the point is terms and agreement. So when you read the terms and agreement, you're gonna see, I'll give you this, I'll give you that, but then there is some details in the terms and agreement. So that's what this is. This is the terms and agreement that God has given to Israel. But then God, after Elohim commanded Moses and they entered the covenant, in the end of the chapter, the last verse, God commanded Moses to come up into the mountain for 40 days to get the details of the terms. You understand? They had more details. So Israel agreed to do these commandments even though they don't know the details. That sometimes we get trapped. We sign for certain things. And then when there's a problem, they tell us, you sign, you agree to the terms and agreement. And now when this situation comes, they're going to tell you, you sign. So in the terms and agreement, they protect themselves in the terms. The company protect themselves in the terms. So when you go in the terms and agreement, they said, well, you agree. You agree for me to share your information. Because in the terms say, we will use your information for this and that and that and that. We will use this for this and that. You didn't read it, but you press agree. Because who have time to read that long list of it? You press go. Let's go. Vibe. Let's go. Vibe. Go. And you agree. So Israel agreed. We all do that like Israelites, right? Israel agree with the terms of agreement even though they don't know the details. We do that too. Because we want it so much. We want it so much. Give it to me. Oh my goodness. I pressed the thing and I don't even know what I pressed in. So Israel did the same thing. And I really want to show you where Israel said that. Let me show you. Even before they got the law, I have to do it now. I was going to save it, but I'm going to do it now. Because it's very important. In Exodus 19, look at this. We had it in last week's parasha, Exodus 19. Israel was so willing because after they see the power of God, after God destroyed Pharaoh in the Red Sea, and after Elohim opened the sea for them to walk through, after they see this power, this almighty power, they said, Lord, whatever you tell us we will do. Who's going to refuse? But they didn't know the details. But they were excited. Sometimes you go in a marriage, You just excited. But when you get to know what this person is about, you want to run. You're just excited. And then after the marriage, you get to know what's going on. You say, boy, what I get myself into? What? I love this. When the Lord said, the answer is in 8, but I just like verse 4. And he said, Adonai said, you have seen what I did unto the Egyptians. And this explains why they said that. If you read it, you can see from verse 3. You can see why Israel said this. Let's read it to see the context. Who want to read? Give me a quick reader. From 3.
Moses went up to God, and Adonai called to him from the mountain, saying, say this to the house of Jacob and tell Beni Israel, you have seen what I did to the Egyptians and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now then, if you listen closely to my voice and keep my covenant, then you will be my own treasure from among all people, for all the earth is mine.
So we said earlier, the earth is the Lord created everything. Everything, every human being belongs to him. But he said that you will be my peculiar people. You will be my special people. You will be mine alone. I will take you from among all the earth. All the people of the earth, I will take you for me. Isn't that precious? You know that you are called like that. He's taking you from among the millions of the earth. The billions. He's calling you out. That is a people called out. A called out people from the nations to join Israel.
The term is amsegula in Hebrew and means special treasure.
Amsegula.
Amsegula.
Boyika. Amsegula, yeah. Yes. Amen. So, yes, so you see to be what? And you shall be to me a kingdom. Look, if 5 said, you shall be a peculiar treasure above all the people of the earth. So he set them above the people of the earth. For all the earth is his. And 6.
So as for you, you will be to me a kingdom of Kohanim and
Priests.
a holy nation. These are the words which you are to speak to Beni Israel.
All of them was going to be priests, man and woman.
Yes.
Everybody was going to be a kingdom of priests. That was the plan. And that's the plan that will be restored when Yeshua comes. Amen? Amen? Hallelujah! King, Messiah, Melech David, he's going to restore us to kingship. Both man and woman. Because that was initially the plan of God. Keep reading.
So Moses went, called for the elders of the people, and put before them all these words that Adonai had commanded him. All the people answered together and said, everything that Adonai has spoken, we will do. Then Moses reported the words of the people to Adonai.
Okay? Now, that's amazing. They signed their terms and agreement. Everything that he said we will do. So they already agree before they know. Because they even had the 10 Commandments said. It's after that. The Lord said to Moses, go and sanctify the people today and tomorrow in 3 days. Wash their clothes. Get them ready because I'm going to speak to them myself. They will hear my voice. They will hear me speak. I'm going to speak to my people, all of them, without a prophet, without a priest, because they are supposed to be a kingdom of priests. So I'm speaking to the priests right now. That's why the Lord spoke to all of them. That I wanted to show you, because that's so important. Then he quoted the 10 commandments. God himself spoke the 10. In the interim, when God spoke the 10, the people tell Moses, these 10 words is enough. We don't want to hear God's voice again unless we die. So Moses, please go, Moses. Speak to God and come and tell us what God said. So then God said, they're right, Moses. I will speak to you. And you will go and tell them what I said. Because if these people are not careful, if people people better listen carefully. When God appeared, and when the Lord revealed his glory, be careful. Be very careful. That's why God said it right, Moses. Because if anybody touched that mountain when I appear, if an animal touched the mountain when I appear, they're dead. Do you understand the power of God, brethren? Do you understand how holy God is? Do you understand? Bear with me. I have to tell you the truth. Do you understand the holiness of God? If they have to, listen, they have to wash their clothes and separate themselves for 3 days. They couldn't touch their wives, no intimacy. Wife couldn't touch husband. After 3 days, they sanctified themselves. All Israel. Because for God to come and speak to them, they had to sanctify themselves. That's why Moshe last week said, can you support to be in God's presence? For how long will you support to be in God's presence? 3 days. And even after they sanctified themselves, they couldn't touch the mountain. Lord, I sanctify myself for 3 days. I stay away from my wife for 3 days. And I can't touch the mountain. Why I can't touch the mountain? The Gentiles will say, why? I cannot touch the mountain. I should be able to touch the mountain. Moses is on the mountain. Her is on the mountain. Joshua is on the mountain. Why I can't touch the mountain? You understand? 3 days, they still couldn't touch the mountain. The animals couldn't touch the mountain. Because God is so holy. Because he is so holy. Without holiness, no man will see God. Then the Lord spoke to all Israel because they was prepared. Remember David when he was running from King Saul? And he went to the priest, Ahimelech. And Ahimelech only had the holy unleavened bread in the temple, the shewbread. And David hungry. And his men hungry. What? Ahimelech asked David. David said, you have any bread in the house? I'm on a business for the king. You have any bread and any weapons there? The priest said, I have the weapon of Goliath. The sword of Goliath, whom you kill. He said, that is good. It's a good one. Give it to me. The priest gave him Goliath's sword. And then he said, I only have the shewbread, the holy bread, that's supposed to be in the holy place for the priest and his sons to eat. Listen to this. Then the priest said, David said, but I'm hungry, man. There's nothing in the house. The priest told David, if you have stayed away from women for 3 days, you and your men, you can eat it. David said, well, certainly we stayed away. They ate the bread, and they were strengthened. Running for his life from King Saul. You see the circumstance? Because the bread was holy. And some people say, some Jews and some people say on Shabbat they could have sex. There's some Jews state on Shabbat that they could have sex. They believe that's the best time to have intimacy with your wife. But according to the Bible and the standard of holiness, no. Any sin of copulation, in Leviticus 15, you couldn't even enter the sanctuary. You had to wash and you'll be clean in the evening. So you couldn't enter the sanctuary. That's number one. Number two, why God tell them, Elohim tell them, don't touch your wives because I'm a pain, if that was a holy thing? Why would David be able to partake of the bread if he didn't have any intimacy with women and live to eat the shewbread? You understand what I'm saying? You need to understand. Sexual intimacy is a fleshly thing. It's just fleshly. It's not a spiritual thing. If it was spiritual, the angels would do it. If it was spiritual, God would be involved in it. It's not spiritual. So don't associate that with spirituality. It's a fleshly thing. It's for the earth. That's why it does not exist in heaven. Do you understand? And anything have to do with blood, any kind of blood, it desecrates. It desecrates. God, only the blood of animals can atone. The blood of animals atone for people, but anything that have to do with body fluids and blood, it makes you ritually unclean to enter God's presence. Do you know that? To enter the presence of God, you cannot have any ritual impurities. That's blood impurities. That's why if you touch blood, you cannot go in the presence of God. You have to wash. You understand? So this is we've got to read that in Torah. But anyhow, let's go down. We can't stick too long and then too much because we have a lot of things to cover. But the point here is, I hope you're learning something. They couldn't touch the mountain even after being cleansed. Even after being cleansed. So the Shabbat, that's why if you read Isaiah 58:13, it tells you how to keep the Shabbat. It tells you that you should not have your own pleasure on Shabbat, which is sexual intimacy, watching sports, anything that have nothing to do with the Lord. You say you shouldn't have any pleasure, your own pleasure. You can have biblical pleasure. We can have games, biblical games. Anything that's biblical is okay. Any Bible something is okay. But anytime it's your own pleasure, you couldn't have on Shabbat. You can speak your own words. Isaiah 58:13. Your own words is forbidden to speak on Shabbat. You cannot have your own pleasure, speak your own words, and have your own ways. Your own way. The Shabbat is a holy convocation. It's a day consecrated by God, separated by God for you to convocate. Convocate means to have a formal assembly to worship. You read that in Leviticus 23 verse 1 and 2. The Sabbath is a holy convocation and it's the first convocation. It's the head of the convocation. All the other feast days, Shabbat, they are convocations too. So you're commanded to assemble. Don't stay in your home. Shabbat is not a day to stay in your home and sleep. The Shabbat is a day to convocate. That's why Yeshua went to the synagogue every Shabbat and convocate, because it's commanded to do that. Do you understand that? Any questions about that? So the scriptures to verify that is Leviticus 23, 1 to 5, and Isaiah 58:13 and 14. Because every commandment has a blessing attached to it. He said, if you do this, you keep the Shabbat that way. He said, then you will ride upon the high places of the earth. The Lord will make you ride on the wings of the earth. And He will feed you with the heritage of your father, Jacob. You want the blessings of Jacob upon you? Keep Shabbat. But keep it the right way. Amen? Don't half step. Don't violate. Don't profane the Shabbat. Do you understand? Amen. We're looking at God's Elohim's judgment. His verdict. His solution to problem. This is not the solution of man. This is not Judge so-and-so. Judge Myers. Judge, what's the name of them judging? Judith. All them judge on TV. Yeah? Joel, sister, tell me. Yeah. So sister Valerie, give me the name. What's the judge's name? Judge who?
You got Million, you got Mathis, you got Alex, you got Maybelline, you got Karen,
what?
You got Christine Perez,
what?
you got Judy, you have Ross.
What?
I watch
There's a lot. Oh, wow. So you're going to be a judge?
No, I want to know the Lord just in case. I want to know what not to do.
That's right. That's how to get out.
That's right.
How to get out of the loophole.
Yeah.
Well, you see, that's how we need to study the Torah.
Yeah,
so we
that's
can
true.
learn the judgment of God. She's getting the judgment of these judges and how they think. You get into the judge's mind so you could know how to navigate the law. To protect yourself. You got to know God's judgment, because when you stand in the judgment, then what's going to judge you is the mind of God. A lot of people believe these instructions, they are the instructions of Moses, the instructions of Israel. Israel make that up. Moses make that up. Most of the time the Israelites didn't want to do what God said. They break it. Yeah. That's why they went into exile. Yeah. That's why they were punished. Yeah. This is God's standard, not mine. So they said, they signed the terms and agreement. All you say, Lord, we will do. So let's go back to the Torah. Let's look at the mitzvot. Look at this. Okay, who's going to read? First one. Let's go. Who's reading? Let's go.
Now these are the rules that you shall set before them. When you buy a Hebrew slave, he shall serve 6 years. And in the 7th, he shall go out free for nothing. If he comes in single, he should go out single. If he comes in married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his master gives him a wife, and she bears him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her master's, and he shall go out alone. But if the slave plainly says, I love my master, my wife, and my children, I will not go out free, then his master shall bring him to Adonai, and he shall bring him to the door or the doorpost. And his master shall bore his ear through with an awl, and he shall be his slave forever.
All right. So that's a strange thing. The Bible supports slavery. That's what we're seeing here, right? Slavery was a normal thing long time ago.
Different from what we do.
Yeah.
Slavery was a normal thing long time ago.
But
all right?
Yes, way different.
Now, every country, at that time, every country had slaves. All of the masters, most of the masters in all of the different countries had slaves. It was a normal thing. But, yes, go ahead.
But, with the Father, just like with the cycles of everything, where he established the Shabbat of 6 days, and then the 7th day, things change, he established the same thing here. Yes, he can serve you for 6 years, but in the 7th year, you need to release him unless he chooses not to be released.
You know, when slavery started in the United States, they used to do that. It was called indentured servants. Yeah. Before, they practiced that because America was trying to follow the biblical standard. But eventually they forgot. They got greedy. But they followed the law of indentured servants. They serve you 6 years, and the 7th year you have to release the person from slavery. But in this situation, this will only apply to a Hebrew man or woman. What if they are a slave from another country? That didn't apply. Do you understand that? What was the situation for the ones who were not Hebrew slaves, owned by Hebrews? The situation was that slave would be as your son and as your daughter. Do you know that? The slaves were treated as family members.
Not animals.
That's the difference. And they received their master's name. And they even get inheritance. That's why Abraham, look, who did Abraham send to look for a son for his father? His slave. That was a rich slave, you know that, right? Because Eliezer was like a son to Abraham. When Elohim commanded Abraham to circumcise, who did he say to circumcise?
Everybody in his household.
Yeah, what every man in his household, but who was his household?
He had no kids.
Servants.
He had Ishmael at the time. Ishmael was 13 when the Lord commanded him to circumcise them. So he said, circumcise every male in your house, your children and your slave. Why? the slaves, because the slaves were like his children. The slaves had to be circumcised because they had to be obedient to Abraham as his children. You see this kind of thing that children disobedient and disrespectful today. You know that even 200 years ago, you think that would be possible? In this land, in America, 200 years ago, this kind of disrespect, what children want to do, this, children, that. They just bring this nonsense up. The globalists. That was never like this. Children have to respect their parents. And obey their parents. When the parents talk, when the father talk, they tremble. Because the father had power. If you put a law and there is no penalty to the law, that law have no teeth. The law is powerless. Impotent. The law is powerless. When you have a law, you must have enforcement. So the legislatures, the senators make the law. The judge interpret the law. The police enforce. What do you call them? Law enforcement? Law in what? Whose job to enforce the law? So if you don't have police, no matter how much law you make, nobody will pay attention to you. What law are you talking about? Chaos. Do you understand what's going on? Judgment. Mishpatim. Now these are the rules. So it's beautiful because the slaves, they will benefit. Yeah. They benefited. Because most of the time, these slaves were poor people. That's why when they sold Joseph, they want to know, this guy looked like a wealthy, like a well-nurtured boy. Yeah. So is he really a slave? They was questioning whether he was a slave or not. Because he looked healthy. He didn't look like a slave. But how he was nourished, how he was cared for. So, because normally the slaves would be poor people that want a master, because they don't have nothing. They have no land to plow. They can't find a job. They want a master to take them to live, to adopt them. It was like an adoption. It wasn't a cruel thing like they have made it today. Yeah. That was for the strangers. But let's deal with, because the Lord is not dealing with the strangers here. In this Mishpatim, He's telling them how to treat your Jewish. Now, the Hebrew for Christian have an interesting thing here. They explain how people get to slavery, how they become slaves, and it is true. One of the, let me see. Let's read a little of it. The word Mishpatim means rules or ordinances, and is derived from the Hebrew word shapat, which means to judge. Parashat Mishpatim is sometimes called Sefer Bread, the book of the covenant, since it contains 11.5% of all the mitzvot and commandments found in the entire Torah. These Mishpatim include a wide range of civil laws, criminal laws, ritual laws, financial laws, and family laws. These civil laws are sometimes referred to as Bein Adam Lakavoro, between man and his fellow man. For instance, slavery was socially tolerated, but it was to be practiced in a humane and orderly manner. If a Jewish male was sold into slavery as restitution for a theft, most of the time, they would sell him into slavery to pay a debt because they owe. So instead of putting them in jail, they would sell them as a servant to pay the debt. You see how people get into slavery? How the Hebrews get into slavery? He must be freed after no more than 6 years. He can be freed before. But after 6 years, no matter what it is, he has to be freed. That's the law. If you want to free him before, if you pay the debt before, no problem. If he got married during his servitude, his master was required to support his wife and children. On the other hand, if the master gave the slave a wife during his servitude, now if he was sold and he was married, the master have to take care of his whole family too, because he's the provider. So if he come with wife and children, the master has to support them, and they will all be his servants. And then he have to release them, him and his children, in the 7th year. After 6 years, the whole family have to go. But it says, but if the master gave him a wife, she and the children would remain, and he make children. When he go in the 7th year, he have to leave the wife and the children for the master. Unless the man decide to remain with them, in which case he would make him a solemn declaration before the Beit Din, which is the court, the Jewish court. The Beit Din, they are the elders who would judge the situation. He make a declaration between the Beit Din, the court, the law court, and have his heir pairs with all to indicate that he is now part of the master's clan. How many of you have your heir pairs? You want to be my slave?
I'm
You-
a slave.
You want to be my slave?
Yes,
Because you already have the pairs. Your heirs already pairs. You already pairs. Whose slave? Whose slave are you? Tell me. Whose slave are you?
I need to ask a question. You probably can't answer it though. Were they allowed to go out and find their own wives if they wasn't married? If he was a slave and he wanted to get married, and without his master giving him a wife?
No, he can't do that because at the time when you're a slave, you don't own yourself. You gotta obey your master. It's what your master says you gotta do. He didn't have that privilege.
So if he found his own wife, his master would have to say, yes, it's okay.
You have to approve.
And then if he wanted to leave, his master would still keep the wife and children.
That's if it was the master's wife.
Yeah, because the master, if he get married while he is serving,
Right. And
the master
okay.
keeps that. Yeah,
Right.
the master keeps that
Yeah.
wife and the children because he's under the master's authority then. As when he is released, then he can do what he want to do.
Oh, okay.
But once he's under the master's authority, whatever he does, only if he comes with his wife. If he comes with the wife, you go with your wife.
Right.
You come with the children, you go with the children. And I believe if he comes with a wife and he bears children, he have to go with his wife and children too. Because the children come from the wife that belongs to him.
Right.
But if the master give him a wife, everything that comes from that woman is the master's.
Right.
It's very simple. You know they practiced that long ago with Abraham, Sarah, and Hagar. Hagar was Sarah's slave. Every child that Hagar get was Sarah's. While she's under Sarah's authority. So that's why Sarah tell her, go with Abraham, bear a child for me. Same thing with Leah and Rachel. Rachel gave Bilhah to Jacob to bear children for her. These kids that Bilhah have is Rachel's children because Rachel is the master. See the same principle? And the same thing with Zilpah, Leah, Honey. We learning something, brother?
Amen.
Yes.
Real quick question regarding the last part. Like, if he decides to go for the all in his and what have you, whose wife can she still get married to somebody else?
No. If he decide to stay and be his slave forever, that's his wife.
Yeah, but what about the wife? Like, she don't have a.
No, that's it. No, he stays with her.
No. If he wants to leave. And
Like,
wife wants to remarry.
Yeah, the wife can remarry.
Oh,
She's free. They give she's free. Yeah, the wife that stays, she's free. She
Even
can
though
remarry.
she's the master. Even though she's the
The master can give her to somebody else if he wants.
that's his property.
The thing to us, only the man slave was to be released. The female slave wasn't supposed. That's interesting. The female slave was not supposed to be released. Y'all hearing that?
Yes.
Let me tell you something. When you see in the beginning, when God made Adam and God made woman for Adam from his rib, the woman was created to be a helpmate for Adam, right? And she was created she was the last of all creation. So she was created perfectly. God crafted her in an amazing way to really complement the man. But when they sinned, there were some curses and some punishment given. Because a woman was the cream of the crop. Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah. Listen. If God said it was not good for man to be alone, he knew what he was saying. Because the woman is the best of creation. She is. A woman is the best of creation. That's why God, the saying is true. God saved the best for last. She is the best. She is the most beautiful thing that you will see on earth. Nothing is more beautiful than a woman on the earth. Nothing. It's the truth. God crafted a woman with that idea, with that purpose, to appeal to man. So, but when they sinned, there was a problem. Because she ate the fruit and she was deceived by the devil, the Lord said, you will serve your husband and your husband would be over you. But that's only until Messiah comes. When Messiah comes, you have no need of, and that was because of bearing children. Because everybody had to play a role. And God cannot give the woman everything to do. The woman have her role to take care of the house and the children. The man have the home to protect and to provide. That's the way it's supposed to be. The man's supposed to go and kill himself to bring home for his wife. But everything is messed up to society. The woman is to stay home, take care of her husband and her children, to be queen in her home. And sometimes they even get servants for her to help her in that respect. The man is to go and bring in the increase and to protect. The man's job is to protect the wife and his family and to bring in the wealth. And she is to manage the wealth, to care for the husband, care for the children, and to manage everything. That's why the Bible tells you in the New Testament, the woman is the keeper of the home. Yeah, because society destroyed it. It's all to destroy the children. The objective is to create confusion, to let the gang, to let the drugs, let everything take the children and destroy the generations to come. So you have no future. But that's the way it was. So back to the parasha. The woman, like I said, this will change when Messiah comes. Everybody will be equal again. How it intended. That's why thank God for Messiah. Because in the kingdom, there's no male nor female. There is none of that in the kingdom. In the kingdom, we are all like angels. That's why in the kingdom, we all will be king and priest. There's no queen. In the kingdom, have no queen. Even though you're a woman, you will not call queens. You will call kings. It's kings and priests. You notice Hashem never chose, Elohim never chose a woman. When you read the Torah, you never see, and all the prophets, you never see a woman priest. You never see a woman priest in Torah. Not in all the New Testament. But today they have woman priests, right? You have woman rabbi today, right? You have woman pastors today, right? Where that come about? What they doing? Is that biblical? It's not my fault, but I have to tell you what the Bible said. And if we stand on the Bible, we got to stand on the Bible. Not that I don't want you to be a pastor. Not that I don't want you to be a leader. God don't want it. Not me. Because his past is judgment already. Wait until your change comes. What did Job say? At the point of time, I will wait until my change comes. Wait until your change comes. Wait. I have to wait for my change. You got to wait for yours. Know your place. So the head of the woman is the man. The head of the man is the Messiah, Yeshua. The head of Messiah is God. Take your place. Because if you don't take a place, who's going to do it? Are you going to do your woman job? Not me. If you don't take your place, who's going to do it? There's some things only a woman could do. I can't do.
A woman can be a judge.
Yeah. A woman can be a judge. And a woman can also be a prophetess. There's no restriction for that in Bible. So you can enjoy, be a prophetess. Wonderful. Hallelujah. A woman can't teach men. She could only teach women. A woman could teach women. But she will only get the term teacher in the sense of, in the congregation. She'll teach children. A woman is supposed to teach children and women. In Titus, it said an aged woman teach the younger woman. She will teach women, not men. You understand? That's Bible. It's not what we could do. It's not what we want, brother. It's what the Bible says. We got to stand in the Bible.
Amen.
So in this parasha, you can see the woman. So I just wanted to get the root where how you can become a slave. So one of the ways is because of theft, bad behavior, different situation. Sometimes the parent is in poverty and they're so poor, and instead of the children starving, they sell the daughter to a master to be able to give her a better life. The key was, so that's some of the ways they get to be sold as slaves. Hebrew selling, the father selling his daughter. Imagine the father selling his daughter as a slave. You're going to read it. Let's read. So, I love my master. So then, we read that part. From 7. Somebody read from 7.
When a man sells his daughter as a slave, she shall not go out as the male slaves do. If she does not please her master, who has designated her for himself, then he shall let her be redeemed. He shall have no right to sell her to a foreign people, since he has broken faith with her. If he designates her for his son, he shall deal with her as with a daughter. If he takes another wife to himself, he shall not diminish her food, her clothing, or her marital rights. And if he does not do these 3 things for her, she shall go out for nothing, without payment of money.
All right, interesting. Look at this. A Hebrew father can sell his Hebrew daughter to another Hebrew as a slave because of his situation, his circumstances, his poverty, whatever the reasons why he did that. But the main reason why they sell her as a slave was basically to be like a maidservant and also to be a wife. You could see if the master don't want her for himself, he can let her be redeemed. If he don't want the woman, because she have a right to get married, he can't keep her there celibate. So if he have a woman and he don't want the woman, the daughter, he can let somebody redeem her, which is buy the price for her to marry her. So somebody can redeem her like how, which is a Goel. The redeemer, that's what happened with Ruth and Boaz. Boaz redeemed Ruth. So he bought the price and he took the inheritance of her former husband and he married her. So he redeemed her. That's why when Yeshua redeems us, he marries us. He buys us and the Goel, our redeemer. And God redeemed Israel. Redemption is when you buy for marriage. That's what redemption was, really. Purchase. So he have no right to sell her to foreign people. He cannot, a Hebrew cannot sell a Hebrew woman to any foreigner. Can't do that. That's forbidden. Then he shall let her be redeemed. He have no right to foreign people. Now this is the woman's right. This is woman's rights. Woman's rights. Liberation and the woman's rights. Look your rights there. Oh Lord have mercy. Oh jeez. I tell you, they made a mess with this woman lib and woman rights thing today. They made a mess. Because you know who's suffering? Society. I understand if a woman do the same thing, work as a man, she should get equal pay. We have to be fair with fair where fair is. If a woman work the same job as a man, she has to get paid the same job. She should even get paid more because she has to work harder to do that. She should get paid more. You understand? Because we have to be just. You can't do that. You can't take advantage of, for example, if a child come and a child do the same work as an adult, you going to pay the child less? The same work. You should pay the child more. Yeshua is just. Yeshua, whether you come early hour, late hour, whatever hour, we agree for our pay, everybody get the pay. He said, you want to be angry with me because I am good? I agree with you a penny. You get your penny, right? Why are you worried about what a man paying for? The one who just come for 2 minutes. If I want to give him money free, I could do it. It's my money. Don't be angry with me because I'm good. I agree to give you what, but don't be greedy. Take what belongs to you. Leave me alone. So if we don't know the judgment of God, people can fool us. People can twist things around. This is why we need to study the Torah. That's why Sister Valerie listened to the judges to know the law. So we need to know the law. You need to know the law. If you don't know the law, you don't know your rights. You don't know your privileges. You don't know your rights. You need to know your rights. But then we have to stop because it's almost 2 o'clock.